Good afternoon, Bomani Perkins Sr. Welcome to Best Life of Wellbeing podcast. And I'm so grateful to have you here today. Thank you for taking time out to meet with me and talk with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here, Donna. Yes. Queen.
Yes. It's an honor to hear your story and to hear how your life has transformed. I want to start off by, you got this picture in the background. You to take me back in time just a little bit to share. What are we looking at in that picture in the background?
So first of all, you're looking at me. This picture was taken of me, I believe, May the 11th, 2016. I was definitely intoxicated. I had a good run with some drugs, and I felt tired, and I thought I could just take a nap right there. But the place where I'm laying at is in front of a convenience store that I frequently visited and purchased from ever since I was a child. You know, and here I am. I was 42 at the time. Well, 41. My birthday, May the 17th. I would have turned 42 at that time. So I was 41 years old, and I was laying in front of the store, broad daylight, without a care in the world. You know, as you see the picture, I'm peaceful. You know, I'm not stressing over nothing. You know, and yeah. So I'm so grateful that a person was able to capture that picture, because it got in my hands a year after I got sober, and I was able to see myself. And a lot of people was upset. Like, you know, I shared it. A lot of people was upset because they couldn't believe that someone would take a picture of me in that state. But I was so grateful that someone did.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, 2016. I was in my neighborhood, Martin Luther King Avenue, Southeast DC.
That was in May of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And then that same year, you made a birthday.
Yep, that same month. Actually, 12 days after this picture. So my birthday, May 17th. I entered treatment May the 23rd of that year, and decided to make some changes in my life.
Can you tell me why? What made you decide? So let's back up. Let's back up, because the reason I decided to reach out to you is because of a post you made in November. In November, you talked about you know, a group that you're in, but it was the month of November, and that's a month you utilized to express gratitude. And you chose to post this picture. And in the post, you said something that really was intriguing to me. You said you thought you were living your best life back then. In that picture, when you were on the ground asleep and drunk and whatever else, you thought you were living your best life. And when I read that, I'm like, you also said that you were killing yourself daily and you didn't know it, but you still thought you were living your best life. And so I'm like, I want to talk to Bomani, because my podcast is about people who are living their best life of well-being. And, you know, and living your best life of well-being is being self-aware and making sure that you're taking care of the whole person. And so my question is, how did you think you were living your best life? Or why would you think back then that you were living your best life? What is it about your life or about your state of mind that made you think the way you were living was a good life?
Well, let me confess. Today I can say I was delusional at that moment, you know, at that time. But I guess because I was self-sufficient, I wasn't asking anyone for any type of money or food or shelter or anything. I was comfortable in my skin, you know. I had means of providing for myself. My kids, I was still able to house them on the weekends and things of that nature. People were still looking up to me, like, you know, I was the big brother, I was the big uncle, I was the, you know, the friend and things of that nature. So, and I was doing everything that I wanted to do at that time. So I didn't think it was a problem. You know, I just thought that I was doing you know, I thought I was living my best life.
But you weren't homeless.
So let me define homeless, right? Let me define homeless. So this is what I learned, right? Homeless is when you don't have a name on the lease, you don't own anything, you're not renting anything like that. So
okay,
I always been homeless, but I never been sheltered, you know, meaning I was always able, someone always provided shelter for me. You know, either my mom, or a girl, I'm dealing with, or family member or friend, something like that. So I didn't know a couple of years ago that I was homeless for forever. As long as my name wasn't on any type of document stating that I'm renting or I'm owning, I was homeless. So, but at this particular time, May the 1st, I became shelterless because I was staying with my younger sister for a couple of years, and she had asked me to leave her home because she didn't agree with the way I was living.
Okay.
And I told her, cool, I live off the land. That's how strong my confidence was at the time. So when you hear me say I was living my best life, I honestly believe I was living my best life, and I was indestructible at that moment, at that time in my life. So yeah, that's how I felt at that time. So yeah,
Glorifying it, and it was also gratifying because you were actually getting something you needed from it. But the actual getting high part, were you running from something yourself or whatever? What is it about drinking, drugs, and in your community or in your life that told you this is okay, this is okay?
I guess it started in the environment I grew up in. So it's something that I seen all the time in my household, outside of my household. So in 2011, my mom passed, in 2011. And I was at home with my kids. I was home with their mom. I was the breadwinner of the household. And, I didn't know it then, but I was stressing, I was stressing. And I thought I knew how to fix myself, and I overindulged in, whatever type of drugs I was using, or everything that I made, I overindulged in it, left my job, and I went back to the streets. And eventually,
Caught up with you.
it led me to right there, where I'm at.
Let's talk about the 12 days later. I think you said it was 12 days later. Your birthday was on the 17th, and then you started your treatment 12 days later. What woke you up?
So I told you, so my sister asked me to leave May the 1st. I told her I was gonna live off the land, but I didn't actually live off the land. My plan was to actually get a tent and live in a park in my neighborhood. But what I would do was, I'm hanging out all night on the streets, and when I get tired, my shelter was this laundromat in this apartment building I used to live in as a youth. So I would go there and I would take me a nap or I would sleep. So that was my routine and stuff. So like I shared with you, my birthday May the 17th. My first daughter's birthday is May the 19th. And when her birthday came around, I noticed that I didn't have nothing to provide for her. I didn't want her to see me in the state I was in. And I felt weak. That was the first sign to me that something ain't right, because I always provided for my kids. I never missed my kids' birthday or anything. I take parenthood very seriously. And that was the first pain I actually acknowledged, that something ain't right. And look at you. And I remember crying. I didn't even have a phone to even call my daughter. Damn, I'm getting emotional, but I didn't even have a phone to call my daughter to wish her happy birthday. And I remember going around my neighborhood asking people, can I use their phone to call my daughter just to wish her happy birthday? And that was May the 19th. And because of that pain I felt like going through that, like around May the 20th, I remember that was like on a Saturday or Friday night. I went to my shelter place, the laundromat, and I tried to lay down and go to sleep. And before I can even, because I said keep a comforter up in the ceiling. I had to move the towel out the way and bring my comforter down and lay it down on the floor. And before I can even lay down, something said, "Oh man, what the hell is wrong with you, man? What the hell is wrong with you, man? Is this how you want to live? This how you want to die?" And it really struck me at that moment, because that was, I heard my voice talking to me, asking me, what the hell am I doing? And I finally acknowledged that voice and really agreed, like, man, yeah, this ain't right. And I cried out to God, asking him to help me. Nothing happened at the moment, nothing fell out the sky or anything.
Right.
But the phone I did have had Wi-Fi. So I got to an area where I knew the Wi-Fi, and I contacted a friend of mine that I know I can confide in. And I did something I never done ever in my life. I cried for help, and I told that brother, man, I need some help. I told him my situation. I got honored, and he told me if I can, he said, brother, you can hold on till Monday. I'm gonna make sure I get you some help. And that Monday was May the 23rd. And he showed up. I met him. He picked me up, and he took me to the ARC program in DC, and that's when my journey started. They was able to find a bed for me in a treatment facility, and that's how my journey started right there. But I knew at that moment I wanted to change. I wanted to do something different. And things start as I started applying what I was learning and applying and listening and doing the right thing, then things start changing in my life, and I'm so grateful for the people that played that part in my life today, because I've always been a stubborn person, and I've always been real too. So you can tell me to look both ways before I cross the street, because I might get hit by a car, and I look at you like you crazy and let you know, man, I never got hit by a car before, but I have to get hit by a car to know that you was telling me the truth. And I can get hit by a car and still be like, I can do it better the next time, So that's what type of attitude I always had, strong-willed, didn't believe, never cried for help, never think I needed help. So that ego got punctured at that time in my life, and I had to unlearn and relearn a whole new way of living, and it started that day, May 23rd, 2016.
Here we are, 2021.
Yes.
And I look at your Facebook post, and you recently got married.
Yes, yes.
Tell me, you recently got a house.
Yes.
But prior to this house, tell me the first time your name was on a lease.
So that treatment facility that I went to in 2016, I was a resident there. And after, let's say 90 days, they had a plan. They try to get you back on your feet in a certain amount of time so they can get you out, so your bed can become available for the next person you need. So just so happens, before my 90 days was up, I went to school. I took the class at DC Central Kitchen, and I passed it, and got my cert safe and my credentials and things of that nature. And when my 90-day came up, let me tell you how it got to work. Right? My 90-day came up, they had that conversation with me, like asking me, what do I have planned and what am I going to do going forward? Basically, let me know that, look, we have to let you, fend for yourself. And one of the employees there, he was like a manager at the treatment facility. The person that was the cook for the facility had just got fired. And he remembered that I was doing the DC Central Kitchen, so he offered me the job at that treatment facility. And so the same place where I was a resident, I became an employee at. And so that extended my stay there. So I was living there. I worked there like 18 months. But I stayed in contact, and we in the same building, because I stayed in contact with DC Central Kitchen. I fell in love with everybody who I ran across in DC Central Kitchen. So I always wanted to join that crew or work for DC Central Kitchen. So when the opportunity presented itself, I took advantage. And I started working with DC Central Kitchen. When we met, I was still housed in the treatment facility. No.
No, but we met.
No. Let me back up.
Yes.
Let me back up. Hold up. When I was working at the treatment facility, I was able to save up my money and things of that nature, and move into a SRO, which is a single room occupancy.
Okay.
And it was a soda house too. So I moved from the treatment facility and I moved into that single room occupancy where I was able to sign a lease. So that's the first time my name ever went on the lease, and I had my own keys or anything like that. So when we met, that's where I was living at. I wasn't living in in the treatment facility anymore. But yeah, I'm glad that I forgot my timeline, but yes.
Because when we met, you weren't working at DC Central Kitchen. You were a volunteer at DC Central Kitchen. You had already moved on to become an electric.
Oh, okay. So I met.
So you were volunteering, and the story you shared with me when we met is that the same story you just shared, kind of, but condensed version. But you were so grateful.
So that was 2019 then.
Okay, you were so grateful that you were there volunteering, but you shared with me that you were a cook and that you loved everyone there. And you said, but I was becoming complacent and I couldn't allow myself to become complacent. I had to grow and move on to the next level. And that's when you told me you had become an electrician, but you were there giving back because they had given you so much. And so, yeah, you weren't living there then. You had already moved on to your single room.
So I was still, so we met in 2019 then, and I'll be trying to remember the dates and times. I lived there for 3 years. It was a step up from the treatment facility I was living at. But after a while, I started feeling like the same story I shared with you that I had to go. But my initial plan was to get an apartment. Just take baby steps. But something came across me when the pandemic kicked in. Of course, I was nervous, but my job never lost a step, the electrician job. And I started thinking about my kids because I wasn't able to house them. The whole time I was in treatment from 2016, I would just visit them. I never was able to house them on my own.
Yeah.
Take them from their mom care and give her a break. I was never able to do that. So that was one thing that I wanted to do. I missed that part of parenting too. So I left there when I was able to purchase my first home. And that was, wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The first time I had my kids over here, because it was for them for real. It was for me to provide for my kids. The first time I had them over here, yeah, I was a crybaby. And things come to fruition, right? First it's a thought, a dream. And once we start putting the footwork in, it become a reality. That wasn't how my mindset was years ago, But yes, it's beautiful. Yes, yes. I'm grateful at the moment. There's so much I can just, brag about a little bit. This year alone has been a very, very one of my best years ever. Best years ever. It's beautiful because all I try my best. Like what I do today is, and we mentioned, and you talked about that earlier, right? Being aligned with self. And that spiritual connection with your higher power, whoever that may be or whatever that may be. But it's amazing how you plan because you think you know the outcome of something. But when you remain humble, right, the finished product is something that you never expected.
Right. Absolutely. Connecting with that divine inner guidance.
Just letting it guide you, regardless of this is what I want to do. But having that intuition at the same time, if something happens, then I have to go with it because it's not my will all the time, right? It's my higher power will that might want me to do something different.
Right.
So that's how things are in my life today, when I look back, I never thought I'd be where I'm at today. But I'm grateful for where I'm at today. And I'm humble. And I know for a fact that there's no telling what I'm going to be tomorrow. What might, what's in store for me tomorrow because it's not really about me. It's about helping, somebody else? Who am I helping? Like, that's the question I ask myself a lot today. Like, who am I, like, who am I helping today?
Right.
Because it's amazing how we be hungry, and as soon as we get some food, that we forget to provide food for the one behind us, give them back. So that's what I try to do today. I try to show up and give back and try to be an example, and it's hard for people that I just meet, because that's not to look like what I've been, but the people that I grew up with,
Right.
that's my target, because I don't have to say anything to them. They see my story. I mean, they see my life.
Right.
So every time they see me, they know something has changed. You don't look the same. You don't smell the same. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel the same. So those are people that I look to inspire, and I make sure I make myself accessible to those people, to all people. These things that I'm sharing with you are things that I could never ever do until I got sober. I got a God of my understanding, and I started being obedient to the principles and guidance. Whereas though when it's something that I want to do, I can do it, as long as it's lined up with positivity. It's not promoting no nonsense. I tell people today, I want to be an asset, not an asshole today. You know what I'm saying? So I'm able to check myself today. I'm able to really take a look at myself today and check myself and see if I'm lined up, or am I wavering? Like, what's going on? Even when I think everything is going right, what you doing today, bro? That same voice that I told you about just before I went to treatment. I try to search for that voice today. Because people like me have a lot of voices in their head. That voice was loud that day, but I ignored that voice for a long time. And I had another voice that always would direct me to do other things. So I try to look for that voice that pointed me in that direction to get help with things that I make today.
My question to you is, what would you suggest to someone who wants help, who wants to change? What advice would you give?
First, I would encourage that person to ask for help. Ask for help. Especially if you anything like me, person that come up in the inner city, everybody thugs and gangsters, we don't ask for help, and all that type of stuff, but ask for help. It's amazing how all my peers is telling me I had a problem before I even thought I had a problem. But yeah, ask for help. Listen, sometimes your family members and your friends are telling you the truth. You need some help. Man, you need some help. It's amazing how so many people tell me that, and I would tell them, no, you need some help. But dropping that ego and actually saying, what, maybe I do need some help. Let me ask for some help. And not only asking for help, but letting that help you.
Right.
I think that's the most important part. But actually letting the help you. And today I can say that it was a mental illness. It was anytime you think something is right that is totally wrong, that is a mental problem. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made. When my mom passed away, I should have went to go seek help. I should have looked for a therapist or something of that nature. I know that today, but but I always look back at that, and I share that with people that I know are having a hard time today, and losing people, things of that nature. Don't listen to your friends. Go seek some help. Go seek a professional that is licensed to help you.
Yeah, it's important to work through the grief, the process, that grief in a healthy way.
Yes.
It is easy to drown out your feelings with alcohol, drugs, sex, anything, right?
And that's what happened with me. And the problem was still there. I never dealt with it until I was able to remove all that stuff out of my life, and I was able to grieve naturally.
Yeah.
And let the natural process take hold. Yeah, so that's another aspect I always share with people. Don't listen to me. Don't go get help. Go get help. Those times, go get help, because And we all, especially in my community and communities across the world, it's a lot of, I don't tell people things are going to be okay no more. I don't tell people that, especially when you hurt, when you grieve. I don't tell you it's going to be okay. I don't tell you that because it might not never be okay. Right? I tell people I love you, and I try to tell people make sure you get some help. The principle of self-determination. All of the principles of Kwanzaa I always try to personalize too, But that one for me always stands out to me because of the self-determination, right?
Right.
It reminds me that I have to be self-driven. It's beautiful when you have people around you that drive you, but that's a dependence on something that is not fruitful. Anytime I depend on another human being, that dependence can become too much. And then when that person fail me, then that's a whole type of energy that I might not never come back from.
Right.
But when I'm able to inspire and become self-determined, then that's coming from my higher power. Not to say I become disconnected from another person or other people, things of that nature, but making sure that I inspire myself. Make sure and don't become too dependent on another person because we all humans.
Right.
People have their own journey. People have their own life. So when you decide not to answer your phone one day, I can understand because you know what? She doing what she need to be doing. I need to be doing what I need to be doing. And not holding a type of animosity with you or anything like that. Because that's how I view life today. I try to make sure I'm self-driven, but also don't disconnect from a community that inspires me too. Yes, that principle of self-determination means a lot to me because I must be self-determined. If I'm not self-determined, then 9 times out of 10, I'm living somebody else's dream. I'm following somebody else. I'm not following my own dream. I'm not following my own journey, and that don't never work out at the end of the day.
Yeah. So. Another thing I think of when I think of self-determination, one of the things you talk about is when you kings amongst kings entertainment. The reason you never accomplished that is because you weren't focused. You didn't stay committed to your goals. You didn't take those steps and put in the work and create the opportunity for that to become real because you were too busy being that guy behind you. But self-determination is when you decided, this is not how I'm going to die. This is not, I'm called to live a greater and not a greater and bigger life for yourself. You realize that your life was not just about you. It was about your family. It was about the people in your community. It was about you, yes, loving yourself first in order to love other people. Yeah. And with that self-determination, you were able to focus. You were able to put in the work to manifest the steps. You were able to be committed to your dreams. Even that tattoo you had on your face was like a reminder once you got sober, like, bro, you had dreams. You had goals. Get the help you need and recognize that in order to accomplish those goals, you had to learn how to focus. You had to learn how to manage your feelings in your day and your relationships and whatever else in order to be the man that you've become today. And I just want to say, I'm so grateful that I met you when I met you in 2019, now that we know the year. Yes. And I'm so grateful. I was reading Facebook that day and I got to see your post and to see that picture. Like you had told me a little bit about your life, but that picture is sobering. When you see yourself like that, and when other people can see themselves, it might not be a picture. It could be, anything that helps you to see the true reality of the life you're living. And it wakes you up and makes you want to walk in a different path. So I'm so grateful that that spirit was there all along. And that one day you actually heard the voice that had been talking to you all along. I'm so inspired by your story and your journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you for providing an opportunity to share my story. And as long as we breathe, we always can, we can always provide our purpose, whatever that purpose may be. It never dies. Like the candle never goes out. Right. No matter how much I try to blow my candle out so many times, but the candle is still lit for me. And I understand that today. So I just try to make sure that, I try to stay connected to my, to my higher power as close as possible. And, and life is better today. Life is just better today,
Yeah.
You know, life is relevant, and I'm grateful. And that picture right there, you see, you know, keeps me humble. Thank you so much again, Queen. It's been an honor. And yes, I hope I touched somebody today.